Welcome, all you free-range junkers. It's Carrie Christensen, your host, your pick and pal, and junkyard Jezebel. We're here to talk about long, delightful walks through the flea market, our best tips for repurposing or growing your vintage collection or business, and how we all respect the rust.
So we are live with our podcast. Welcome, everybody, to the Free Range Junker podcast. My name is Carrie Christensen. I'm joined by my husband, Rick Christensen, and two special friends of ours, Perry Fleischman and John Jacoby. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So tell everybody a little bit about how you came to be a picker. How'd you get started in that journey? Because people are always interested in what makes us leave a regular job and start doing this for a living.
Started when I was about 11 years old. We used to go to auctions with my father, and he was always into the whole junk buy and sell. He started with cattle and then kind of drew more into the junk antique type thing. I bought an Avon collection at the auction one day for $5. It was a whole truckload. I took it back. I sold it at the local antique store. The guy gave me $100 for everything. Thought I did great, and I was hooked. It kind of like progressed on from there. I started in my hometown of doing storage auctions, buying buildings, selling locally, doing little flea market type things, selling on Marketplace, Facebook, and just hosting rummage sales at my house based upon storage units. And that's where it kind of progressed. I did that for like 3 or 4 years. And then it kind of built up into a live selling on Facebook and just kind of like took the storage unit end of it into a smaller item or something that fits in a box and gets shipped out easily, because maybe the local people, I got tired of dealing with, downhill snow skis and, house furnishings. So I went into something that drew a little bit more money that could fit in a box and get shipped out. And that's kind of like how I started into the whole buying and selling. My father was really into it, and he's still into it now, just on a different level, and it's slowly progressed up a set of stairs.
That's a lot of history. And here, I thought you started last week.
Not yet.
That was me.
And I will say, you always talk about, I think, the group that we're selling a lot in now, the Facebook Live group. You were one of the first people to do live, if I remember in that group.
Yeah, actually, it was me and John McCarsky. Yeah. There was 26 members in the group, and we did our first live, and I had 5 viewers.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Mine was similar to Perry's, but it was my mother. My mother was a garage sailor, estate sailor. She owned a thrift store. So, I've just been buying at rummage sales and buying at flea markets and thrift stores, and then it progressed into the online thing. And I was actually not one of the original sellers. I've only been selling on Facebook Live for about a little over a year now, but I was one of the original buyers. I had been buying in the group probably for about 6 years before I started doing any sales. So I did a little bit with the eBay thing. And we were just talking about this before the podcast. You got to do something that you enjoy doing, and you want to do it every day. And I had a pretty high pressure job. I oversaw 7 states, managing multiple people, couple hundred people. And it takes its toll on you. And I just love finding stuff. I love recycling stuff. I love repurposing stuff. We're a throwaway society, and I love the old stuff. It's exciting for me. So
I love everything about it until it comes to packing.
We talk about this all the time. That's my kryptonite.
The finding this stuff is awesome. The actually getting it out the door sucks.
Packing is tough. There's no doubt.
Well, so what I'm hearing from this, and I think the moral of the story is our parents are to blame for me. I had a grandparent actually that did a lot of it and was kind of known around town for being a salvager. You'd see him in his truck, and it was always heaped with stuff picked up. And for Rick, he started doing it because his mom sold all his toys. and then tried to make him, kind of take back the stuff that he was still storing at our house. And so that's how he started. Yeah.
Yep.
We could psychoanalyze that all day long.
Yeah.
So you guys sell similar stuff to what we sell. A little bit of everything, a little bit of advertising, a little bit of toys, a little bit of just history, kind of all the way around. What's your favorite thing to sell and hunt for when you're out there?
The hot item on the market seems to be advertising, and that's advertising across the board, whether it's a advertising original sign, anything advertising a tip tray, older the better. My favorite thing to go out and actually hunt for is, this is going to sound pretty stupid, but is Victorian hat pins. Lately, it's been a hot market for Victorian hat pins.
I did not think he was going to go
And
there.
I tend to look for everything from 2-inch to 9 or 10 inches long. They got a big stick on them. A lot of them have the jewel on the top or anything like that to that nature. It would have to be like 1960s, pre-60s, somewhere in the 20s, 30s, 40s range. And lately, for the past year, that's all I've been. If I'm out and about at the flea market here and there, I'm always searching for a Victorian hat pin. I don't know why, but I sell them really well, and that's anyone can find advertising any day of the week. It's out there. That seems to be the hottest item out there right now, and it's considerably climbing in price. But there's other stuff out there that people tend to like. Not everybody has a pocketbook for $1,000 signs.
So you're basically searching for a pin in a haystack.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's interesting because I would have never guessed that. So that's kind of cool to hear. Well, yeah, I mean, I started with advertising. But as it became more and more in demand, I kind of shied away from it. And I ended up buying a couple of very large toy collections, and I've had a lot of fun learning about toys because that's kind of you guys' forte and expertise. And there's a lot of the pressed steel and things like that I really kind of jumped into that I had no knowledge. So a lot of research and a lot of trying to just kind of find out. And so I've been having a lot of fun with that. There aren't any real specific items. I like nautical. I live on Lake Superior, and I like nautical stuff, and I like finding different things off of ships. There's a lot of old big ships that come through Duluth, and that's kind of fun. So
as far as for me, I'm not a collector, so I like to buy anything that I can resell and make some money on. Basically is what it comes down to.
yeah. And 70s, 80s toys from my childhood.
Yeah.
I love buying and selling those. Dukes of Hazzard, $6 Million Man, the original Star Wars. Those kind of hold a special spot for me because it brings me back to being a kid. So,
And that's sometimes, I mean, I've said this in the past, especially with the toys. Sometimes they're the hardest thing to buy out of an entire thing because everybody has that sentimental attachment to their toys. So, and you can't pay for the sentimental attachment. It's only worth so much, but
Exactly.
that's fun. I mean, that's how I got started too, was looking for my old toys. So,
Yep.
yeah.
So you guys are both from northern, Wisconsin, Minnesota area. Perry, you're from Amgo. John mentioned he's from Duluth. Do you find that the area you live in is really kind of influencing what you're buying or what you're finding in your area? Just because you're more rural, Perry. John has a little bit bigger city, and
No, I think it's used to be able to find a lot of it, and now you really got to outsource and travel a little bit further. There's quite a few pickers in my town or in my area per se, and actually it's getting pretty dried up. You have to outsource and travel to find it. But I don't think I really answered your question correctly. If you could repeat it, that would be great.
that's okay. Yeah, I mean, in terms of what you're finding, just because your area is more rural, John has a little bit bigger city. I just wanted to kind of touch on where you guys are from and what you're finding. You're talking about the things you like to hunt for. Are you finding those things in your more rural area or your more urban area? But like you mentioned, you're traveling.
Yeah, I'm traveling to find it. Probably like a 3-hour radius is mainly my main travel point around my area. But It used to be a lot easier to find it in my area, but like I said, there's numerous pickers, a lot of older pickers, maybe pickers that are starting to retire. They get the phone calls versus that I get for an estate clean out, and which is totally fine. But to actually find some good stuff, yes, you have to outsource it from a broader area.
So what's the weirdest thing you've ever bought or sold? I know there's some stuff that Rick will come home with, and I'm like, why did you buy that? Like, he bought a set of dental teeth one time that was like a salesman sample, and I'm like, that is so weird. And then there's another time it was a gigantic ears from like a doctor's office, and I'm like, this is outside of what we normally sell. And he's like, well, where else can you buy teeth? Where else can you buy gigantic ears? So you guys have stories like that too? Some weird shit that you bought and sold?
I don't know if it's the weirdest thing, but the coolest thing I think I've bought in a long time would be it was a 1970s reproduction high wheeler. I really enjoyed that. I had it for a year. I had it displayed in my living room. I would ride it to the post office. I would ride it to the gas station. I'd get so many looks at town. It's not the weirdest thing, but I think it's the coolest thing that I ever bought. I made the mistake last year. I sold it at the flea market, and I've been hunting for one ever since. I'd like to find an original one just to replace that again, because I would ride it all over my hometown, and my post office is literally a mile away. I could deliver an envelope and back in 15 minutes. I don't know if it was the size of the front wheel that it just went faster, but you wouldn't believe how many people looked and waved and beeped, and I felt like I was the king of America.
High wheelers are actually really tough to find.
But yeah, to answer your question, I don't know if it's not weird, but it's cool. So
mine isn't nearly as exciting as that. I bought this hard case, and it was just a little suitcase, and I was actually going to convert it to something else. But it had this piece of equipment inside that I have no idea to this day even really what it truly did. It's from California. It was an air purification tester kit. Electronic device. I don't normally buy them, but I was going to buy this case, and I got it for $4. And it had this item inside. So I started looking it up and doing some research on it that day. And I actually listed it for this crazy price because I found a couple that had sold for a couple $1,000s. And I sold this thing within 10 hours of buying the case for $4. I sold the whole thing for $1,400 in less than 10 hours. And it's still one of the craziest things because I don't know exactly what it did, but I bought it and sold it, and somebody knew what it was and was excited to get it. They were very thankful that I sold it to them. So it was kind of fun.
Yeah. And I think we all run into that kind of stuff. You all pass it at a flea market, you all pass it at a garage sale, and you just don't take the time to investigate. And then later on, you see one on eBay or you see one somewhere, and you're like,
we have done, I think it was a Facebook Reels or something like that the one time through a walk through the store, and we just did it was kind of like buy the weird stuff. Yeah. Because that's what people seem to gravitate to a lot of times. I mean, anybody can go and find a Tonka or something like that, but buy the weird stuff. I mean, they seem it. You might not have as many buyers for them as what a normal thing is, but you'll find it. And usually, when you find that person, they're willing to pay because you can't. It's just not that easy stuff.
Yeah.
So not everybody wants that. Yeah. There are people like you out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you guys touched on it a little bit, talking about how we came to know you, which is through Facebook Live. It's a group that we all sell in on Facebook. It's called Facebook Live Auctions and Sales. All of us sell on there weekly. Some of us a couple times a week. Some of us are newer to it than others. We got started because of Perry during COVID when you couldn't do anything else. We'd be eating dinner, and I'd hear Perry's voice under the table, and he was watching him on his phone, and I'd be like, "Yo, up here!" And so I had to listen to Perry's voice all through COVID.
I'm sorry.
I heard him saying, "I don't know. I think we should try this," and I'm like, "Dude, I need one more thing too." Like I knew all of that. And he's watching Perry, and he's learning, and he's asking Perry questions, and Perry's mentoring him and kind of teaching him how. And now here we are. We just did our first joint live sale in the last 24 hours with the three of you. So talk a little bit about how you started selling on Facebook Live since you were one of the first ones, Perry? You kind of touched on it a little bit, but if you'd expand on that and how that went for you.
I don't really know. I kind of fell into it. There was a new group that came about on Facebook, and I joined it. The moderator of the group asked me if I would like to try a live sale, and so he kind of like walked me through it. There was a couple of them. Anth Morrow, I don't know if I should mention the name, but whatever. He's out there. And I just kind of fell into it, and then I started doing live sales. And like I said, before I started with five people was my main audience. And it just kind of grew into doing more and more sales, learning different tweaks, learning what people buy. And also the main part of it is having fun. So I started that like 5 years ago, and then slowly progressed into getting something bigger. A lot of people out there know me as Pop-Up Perry, Panda Perry.
Mankini Perry.
We were not going there, John. But anyhow, just kind of progressed into that. I do a weekly Tuesday night sale. I've been pretty weekly for the last couple years. And then I also do pop-ups like, a Thursday, Friday type thing, maybe a Saturday flea market day. The group has different special events that they run, and I try to be a part of them and just tell people about the group, and I just flow with it. It's entertaining.
Yeah.
I like to entertain. If people are entertained, they like you.
Mhm.
A lot of people don't like me. Some people do. They keep coming back, so I must be doing something right.
So, participating in other live sales, or you're literally just scrolling Facebook one day and it pops up and you're like, whoa, what the heck is this?
It all started with the first Facebook group that ever did live sales was Goal Live Auctions.
Okay.
And it started with one guy when all of a sudden you could realize that you could go live on Facebook, and he brought in a selling format. And all of a sudden it just kind of like stuck. And then there was I'm Live Auctions, Go Live, I'm Live. It started with one group that just blew up into multiple groups. Now, I bet you there's just that I'm a part of that you could sell live in at least 30 to 40 groups that I'm a part of. And I'm sure there's more of them out there.
Yeah.
But, certain groups tend to lean towards certain items you can sell in. You could only sell pre-1973 in this group, pre-1978. This one might be only for Barbie dolls. This one might only be for signs. Different buyers in different groups for different items at a different price point.
Do you sell in any other groups or just this one?
Once in a while, I'll do a static post, not a live sale. I'll post something for sale in another group, and they'll maybe do like a 24-hour sale on it, or a 24-hour auction, or maybe a deal or a no deal for maybe select items. But as far as going live, I tend to stick to Facebook Live Auctions and Sales. That's where I started, and they'll always be my family. Welcome, gentlemen.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like I said, Rick was watching you and watching.
I mean,
how long?
I had done Redline auctions back in the Go Live day.
Mhm.
There was a couple Redline groups that started, and it was one you could book an hour, and I could usually push through like 10 to 12 red lines in an hour. So I was doing that at my old shop back in the day before Facebook Live started. But then I kind of got out of that, and we were just doing the normal day-to-day stuff because it was that much more. You had to run them at night because that's when the crowd could be on. And I had a regular, 40, 50 hour a week job. So I didn't want to just stick around late that much more. So I was doing them maybe once a month. And then I just kind of put Facebook Live on the back burner. I'd buy every now and again. Then I started buying from Perry when I just kind of started watching more. And our business took off. So I needed to find more inventory. And Perry always had good deals. So I just buy from him. And then, yeah, we just took off and started doing that. Yeah.
John, how about you? Did you start from watching these guys too?
Yep. I had found the group, just it showed up on my feed one day and I started watching, and I kind of started with John and Susan Rogers and John McCarskey. And John and I actually developed a really good friendship. I mean, I consider him a good friend. I've never met him face to face, but we've done a few other little things together on the side outside of Facebook Live, not just even selling. With like, he started a beer tasting group, and so we did that on a regular basis, and just had fun with it. And I started to become friends with all the people that I was buying from, and so I actually did a joint sale with Andrew Cook up in Duluth on another site on Brimfield. It was all signs, and we did really well. And Perry had actually come up and bought out of one of my buildings
A couple years
truckload
ago.
a few years
Yeah.
back, and that was before I started selling on. And we had kind of talked about it then too, about me going and starting selling.
And now he won't invite me up there anymore because he sells in the same spot I do and the price went up.
I've invited you several times, man. You never come back.
I'm just gonna say I've never been invited.
Oh, well, Rick, you're invited. There you go.
Okay.
You're invited.
I was just gonna throw that out there.
So it just kind of evolved. And then, yeah, I started a little over a year ago selling on Facebook Live, auctions and sales. I did sell in another group for a while. I was doing 2 sales a week. It was a little too much for me. I have a hard time with the packaging and everything. I've got rheumatoid arthritis, so I have good days and bad days. And so it's a little hard for me to do too much in a week. And yeah, it it takes its toll. So, but I have fun with it, enjoy doing it. And my family gets to do it with me too. And I love you guys' model. You guys work so well together. And Perry, same thing. It's his family down there in the basement,
Yeah.
all working together. And it's
Pops and
me,
Lisa.
my wife, and my kids. They all come down and help me. I couldn't do it without them. So I love that. So, yeah.
When we first started doing it, we were always like, quiet on the side, no other noise, like everybody, be focused and serious. And then we kind of got to thinking about it. We're like, people are watching Perry because he's smashing guitars and stomping on shit, and he's entertaining.
Yeah.
I like to smash.
Everywhere, and all this kind of stuff. And one of the other ones he used to watch too all the time, he had a little girl that would wander through every now and again, and he'd ask his daughter, and she'd always be in costume because she liked to play dress up down there in the area that he was doing his live sales in. And she'd wander through in a V costume, and he'd say, "Hey, how much is shipping?" And she'd look at the camera and say, "Actual shipping."
Nice.
Yeah, she's like
Yeah.
a foot and a half tall.
Yeah.
And you got a little bee costume saying actual shipping. So
Part of the entertainment of it, and that's
Yeah.
what makes
Yeah,
people come
exactly.
back every week, is because they do get to know you, your family, the people that are working with you, and enjoy being a part of that.
well, on any given night, there's probably 3 or 4 minimum people selling
Oh, yeah.
in the big groups. You need to be that unique person that they're going to want to watch, whether they want to buy anything or not, because there's other places that they could direct their attention to. And that's not counting their family time. What if they got a favorite TV show? So you need to pull those people.
Yep.
The more personable you can be. And it just does nothing but help.
Well, I love it too that I have buyers that actually get on there and will say hi to my wife and kids. I mean,
Yeah.
they'll make a point to say hi to them. They don't even care if they say hi to me, but they make sure to say hi to them, and I love that. It's exciting. So.
Sometimes I just go live just for comedy hour.
Yeah.
I don't even sell anything. I just go live. I set the camera up and put it in front of me, and we have a kind of like a face-to-face
Yeah.
interactual
Yep.
web seminar of the people that attend my
Yeah.
sales sometimes, and we just talk back and forth. It's not all about taking somebody's last dollar
Yeah.
or getting in their pocketbook and, hey, I want your money. It's not all about
Yeah.
that all the
Yeah.
time. It is about that some days, but for the most part,
Well,
we're all a big family here, and a lot of returning customers over and over and over. And I couldn't thank the group enough for what it's evolved to and the work that's been put in to make the group that it is today.
yeah.
For sure.
And you bring up a point as far as the fun side of it, and it's not about the dollar. I mean, it is a business, yes. For every one of us, we're doing it as a business. But like I just said before we came on this podcast, there's ways that I can sell my shit. I don't need to do it on Facebook Live. So the time when it stops being fun is when I will stop doing it and do on something else. I'm having a blast with this stuff, which is why we did this, because I thought it would be a really fun time with the three of us going together. And so I mean, if you keep it fun, I think your viewers feed off that energy. They have fun with it, and that's what keeps them coming back.
For sure.
So the on-air talent, on-air personality, but they do get to know your support people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
that's your wife, whether it's Pops, whether it's Shanda here, you know, Mike, all of us, because we all play a part in the game, and we come amongst friends, and it helps you develop that network around the country of people too. So like when you are buying, you know, we've had people reach out to us recently from Nebraska, and we're like, we're not getting in the van to go to Nebraska right now to go look at this collection, but we do know people that are Facebook buyers that have been friends of ours for a while now that are 10 minutes from there that we can send. And say, like, hey, you go look at it, shoot us pictures. Could you store it till the weather's better and we can get down there? You know, and you guys have developed that too, like you were mentioning. And McCarthy's not local.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
you get to know these guys really well. And
Exactly.
that's the nature of the group, right? I mean, like you were saying, the group is really grown. The Edmonds has done a good job of making sure that the people that are in the group are good people, easy to work with, respectful, pay their bill, you know, follow through, all that kind of stuff. And that's hard with a group. We see a lot of groups out there that are not run well.
Yeah. No. One thing I do want to point out about Facebook Live auctions and sales, actually for the members there that buy, one thing I really want to add is they are pretty prompt on paying. Within 2 days, 90% of all invoices for me, anyways, are paid within 9 hours. Of all buyers. If I host a sale on a Tuesday night, I invoice Wednesday at 8:00. Usually by Wednesday, 3:00, 90% are paid. And one thing I really want to stress about is within the group is just the lack, or not the lack of, but the people that pay promptly. Very rarely do you ever find one within the group that doesn't pay, but they are out there.
And the admin team in this group is amazing.
Oh, fantastic.
They do so much work for us behind the scenes and helping us. If we do have a non-payer, go right at them. They'll mute them in the group so they can't keep doing it to other people until it gets settled. Usually it's sometimes a misunderstanding. They didn't see something. It's very seldom it turns into a bigger problem. But the admin team in this group has been great to work with and helpful and everything. So, yeah.
And that definitely has made a difference in all of us in growing our business.
Oh,
right?
for sure.
What started out as maybe a hobby and something to putter around with has developed into a good source of income for all of us.
Yep.
Helps us continue to be able to go and find the cool.
Oh, I'm not making any money. No. Nah.
Cigarette.
You need to just
If I keep flipping that quarter.
then stop flipping.
Yeah.
So you guys sell in other places too besides just on Facebook Live? Are you making any money there? Talk a little bit about where else you sell.
I sell on eBay, junk to antiques. I just started really posting on it heavy, late 2024. It kind of goes in spurts for me for eBay. It's either really good or really bad. There's really no in between. I do go to local flea markets in the area. I did try Shawano, Wisconsin, St. Germain, Wisconsin. I do enjoy going to Elkhorn, Wisconsin 4 times a year and selling. That's one of the bigger ones in the Wisconsin area. They do that show 4 times a year.
As long as it doesn't rain.
As long as rain or super windy for that matter. And I tend to stay in Wisconsin only. I haven't really outsourced into another state for a flea market. Other than we do like to go to Florida, and I'm gonna point out a fellow I met online, actually, Dean Maroney. I met him online through Facebook auctions and sales. He sent me a private message. Hey, if you ever need anything, come on down. Over the course of 3 years, he's become a really great friend. I've in my Airbnb. We stay in his guest house. I've took my my girlfriend down there. All of my kids, they absolutely love them. We like to go to Florida too, to Renegers Swap Meet, which is also 3 times a year, and maybe Webster's on President's Day. I find that I can go down there and buy and then bring it back home and, make a few dollars on it. That, and it's fun, and it's enjoyable to get away every once in a while from the Wisconsin cold weather. So, yeah. Other than that, though, oh, yep, Shauna, Wisconsin. I just recently started an antique booth there. I rent a small little space. I started that December. I've only been in there a couple months. I've been thinking about outsourcing to other malls in the area. I just wanted to give this one a shot, as I've never had an antique booth before. I was going to give it 6 months, see how well it did, and then maybe outsource to another bigger mall or whatever. And hopefully maybe within a year, I'll be doing an eBay thing, outsourcing and selling at the flea market, still doing the active Facebook Live auctions, and maybe have 5 or 6 different antique booths. So just it's a work in progress, just seeing how it's going, and most of all, I'm having fun while I'm doing it.
Well, different things sell in different places.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We've done that. Even though we have our store, we have our eBay store, we have our Facebook Live sales. There's an antique mall that's right on a very busy interstate in the Wisconsin Dells, an hour and a half from here. And we thought we'd be curious to do a booth in there for a while and just kind of see what traffic and what sells there.
And what doesn't sell one week sells the next week. And what doesn't sell for any money here, 100 miles away, sells for $75.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
John, how about you? Like, where else do you sell?
I too also do eBay, but it's kind of a necessary evil for me. I'm not a huge fan of of that format, so I do a little bit on there. I have some items that just won't sell for me other places but eBay. So I do sell on there. I do a little bit on Marketplace. I used to do a lot of flea markets. I just can't do that myself. It's too much work physically. So I had a warehouse that I had rented for years, and I would be able to do a big, huge sale on a weekend, and I'd put everything on pallets, and I'd just pallet jack it out into the parking lot, do the sale all day long in the parking lot, and then move it back in at night, which was really nice. So this was my first year not doing that. But I'm also in an antique store, Father Time Antiques in Duluth, down at Canal Park, Duluth is a big tourist town. So it's kind of a feast or famine. Summertime from April, spring and summer, April to December, really great. December, 4 months. It's really tough.
It's hard to sell antiques when you have snow up to your chin.
Yeah, exactly. And the wind off the lake and waves.
but 2 days ago we were mowing the lawn. Yesterday we shoveled snow.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, I didn't do any. I like to do a traditional yard sale every once in a while. Just kind of set up. I'm on kind of a main street. It's a pass through in Duluth, so it's pretty easy for me to put a bunch of tables out in front of my house and just do that. So the antique store I'm in, my 17-year-old daughter got her first job there. So she started as a cashier. So she worked there for 2 years. She moved on to doing home health, which she wants to be a nurse. So she's got a new job. Well, my other daughter turned 15. So she took her job. and so the owner of the antique store lives about 3 blocks from me. And he says, "You got another kid at home, right?" I said, "Yeah, actually, he's 13. He'll be 15 when Grace is 17." So I said, "You're set for another at least 2 or 3 years." He's like, "Good. That's good to hear." So, and it's great because it's not high paced, and they enjoy it. They like seeing the stuff come through. So, kind of makes me feel good too.
Although the one daughter, I've seen her during your live sales. There's days that she doesn't look like she's enjoying.
Oh yeah, no, there are days. Trust me, it's like any job. They don't want to be there every time.
She was there with the hoodie recording. Like, do I really have to do this tonight, Dad?
That was one of the first ones in the basement. Yeah. I didn't put the portable heater down there, so it was like 60 degrees, which for me is perfect. When I'm moving around, I'm sweating anyway. I normally have to peel the sweatshirt off and and she's over there going,
Yeah. Yeah, he was kind of
So-
miserable that night. I remember that one.
yeah. For sure.
We sure appreciate you guys spending some time with us after this busy lifestyle week that we had getting ready and setting up, and you've been publicizing the Jeevers out of it. So taking the time to do this, we really appreciate it, and I think our listeners will enjoy hearing from more than just Rick and I. So I guess as we close it out, talk about like when people ask you, because I'm sure you guys get the question 50 times a day, just like we do, like, where does all this stuff come from and how do you find it? Like, what's the best advice you could give to somebody that's starting out or maybe wanting to do a Facebook Live, or, you know, when you're mentoring other people, what's the best thing you think you can tell them?
For me, live research is the best. If you're in a town, go find a thrift store, go find an antique store, go check it out, go see what people are pricing things out. Go see it. You know, most antique stores will have multiples of the same item. You can kind of see if it's a different vendor or if it's just a single store, what they're pricing things at, and what, obviously, if they have it on their shelves, that, you know, it's something that they think is going to sell, and you can kind of judge. All right, so then when I'm out looking or picking or at a flea market or garage sales, never pass on a garage sale. I mean, my family hates riding with me because I'll be going down the road and I'll see a sign. And I'm like, well, it doesn't look like it'll have anything. I got to stop. And
The
look.
ones that don't look like they're going to have anything have the
Sometimes
best.
have the best stuff. So don't ever miss out on an opportunity to take 15 minutes and just browse and look. You don't have to buy at every sale you go to.
Always
but
keep your eye open.
Exactly. That would be
The
my
one
best
thing
advice.
we've tweaked our garage sale habits though. If we see kids' toys, drive on by. If I see a walker or wheelchair, we're pulling in.
Yep.
'Cause there's old shit
That's
there.
great advice. That is great advice.
What about the sign you see that says on the road, garage sale this way, and you follow it for 10 miles
Oh,
and you never find it?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Those are out there too.
It should be a law. 5 miles, 2 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah, or you have to take them down at the end of the sale.
Yeah.
Because there's been plenty that I've gone to the address and it's all closed up and everything. I'll see somebody in the yard. Oh, that was last week.
Yeah.
Like, well, maybe
Yeah.
take the sign down.
My best advice would be keep your eyes open. Maybe just, like John said, go around, shop around, see what other people have on their shelves, what they're selling for. Look online, watch lives, see what sells, and see what you could buy based on your pocketbook. Don't go out and throw your money away on a bunch of signs that you know nothing about, because you're probably going to get burned and they're going to be fake and you're going to lose a bunch of money. I would say if you're just getting into this, start off small, start off with something you can afford, have some fun with it, and slowly progress into it. There's plenty. If you ever wanted to do a live sale, or maybe you've already watched some and you're on the fence about it, just make a post in one of those groups and be like, hey, I'm new to this. I've been buying a little bit. I want to host a live sale. Just ask a question. You want to know what? I bet you within one day, you'll have 20 comments on your post of different people there to help you out, offering advice to guide you along the way.
Well, that's great advice.
Great advice.
I think
Yeah.
those are all things that we have gotten that advice from other people, we appreciate, or we've learned, or we've seen other people make those mistakes. I mean, we talk all the time. We'll see somebody spend a boatload of money on something they know nothing about.
Yeah.
Like, what are they doing? They're going to try to resell that. I was we were talking about an in-person auction we did not that long ago with signs, and there's a local kid here that he was paying way over retail for stuff. And I know he sells, and I wanted to go over and say, buddy, let me give you a little advice. Not everybody wants that advice. So I think that's
He's spending daddy's money, so he doesn't care.
learn, take small
Yeah.
chances, work your way up,
Yep. Yep.
before you just dive in.
I'm no professional at everything. I get burned every now and then too.
Yeah.
Not too long ago.
Oh,
I
I
got
think we
burned.
all do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all do.
My
I mean,
favorite comment comes from the Friday Night Gold Rush television show, Tony Beast. You always say, lessons cost money, good ones cost more.
Yep. Yep.
So that's what-
100%.
and that's how you learn. You're going to lose on some. You got to maximize the winners that you hit and learn from your mistakes.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
Well, thank you guys again for doing this. We appreciate you.
Well, thank you.
And as you probably have learned by now, this is not a regularly scheduled thing. So thanks for joining us.